Okay, this is Kim from the iMoot team, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and thank Gareth for presenting here at the iMoot. Gareth has been around for a little while, so and he is one of the king of themes. So without further ado, Gareth, go ahead.
Thank you, Kim. I'm just going to turn off the webcam to save bandwidth, guys. Welcome. So let's turn that off there. Yeah, cool. Welcome to Themes and More. A little bit of admin first. So we're going to cover trademarks, introduction, talk about the free themes out there and some of their features. So that's what's really what this presentation is about in terms of thinking about components. A free thing called the theme selector block, how course formats fit into the picture, sort of a different, another type of Moodle plugin, how they then make a difference and how they sort of cohabit and coordinate with themes, but not necessarily the one and the same thing. Have a look at making some very simple changes. What you need is to get from A to B in terms of making little changes. Talk about the forthcoming Moodle Bites theme developer sort of theme design level 1 course that I'm going to be facilitating on. I'll talk about what my visions of the future are. Bit of references, summary, and a chance to ask questions and a component vote on the different features and components of free themes and how that sort of fits in. So a little bit of admin, just sort of trademark there, just leave it on the screen. If I mentioned Nami, previous presentations with this one as well, and Firefox and so forth, but I am just saying that I'm independent of the following organizations. Okay, right, so there is a wealth of themes out there. Everything does have its sort of style functionality in written either the person who paid the developer to write it or sort of by osmosis has changed over time, and they all have different components. You sort of tend to look at themes and think, aha, that's just a style, that's the way it is, but actually it's broken down into different parts which we can then move to other themes. About me, I am a themes and course formats developer and moderator on the themes and course format forum, small developer, software and educator. I used to be a teacher, ICT, Information and Communication Technology, for 7 years, and that's how Collapse Topics started out. So I was teaching a certain class, realised that all different students in the room were doing different modules all at the same time. I wanted to bolt everything together, solve the sort of Jeff, so I invented Collapse Topics. So it was all sort of got into Moodle from a teaching perspective rather than a developer perspective. And before that, I did other bits of software engineering, so going around a bit of sort of full circle. So, free themes and their features. So we're going to look at different ones, have a look at how the features can be perhaps transposed. Also, theme is just a look. People think, oh, that's the style, it's everything. It is not. It's only a part of it. It's like the frontage of the house. It's not necessarily all the gritty in the walls and the plumbing and stuff. And if you put bad things into your Moodle, you're going to get bad things coming out. So garbage in, garbage out. A theme is just going to present what you've got. So it's not the be all and end of it. All the themes I'm going to present are available on moodle.org. You can get them, but there is a cost to pay. So you do get the code, but perhaps there's limited or no support. Maybe you've got to say to the developer, oh no, I need to pay you money or something like that, and you don't know how long they're going to last. So it comes down to sort of a track record or how long the developer's there, but none of us really know how long we're going to be around for and what our futures are going to be. So there's swings and roundabouts, but the same perhaps is true when you buy commercial software, that you get a license and lasts for so long, but you don't know if the company's going to go bust. But at least with open source, that's the beauty of Moodle and other open source software, you do get the code and at least you've got it there so that you can then go out and find another developer or start tinkering with it yourself. You're never completely left out in the dark. So the themes, new one, Boost. Based on Bootstrap version 4 alpha. I've been sort of very skeptical about this. I think they made a very, very, for whatever word, brave decision about whether they use this alpha code and stuff. And I would have stuck with going back with another version of Bootstrap in the past, which was far more stable. And I think they could have done a lot more with it. But they've been really radical. They've got this sort of new you can see there sort of a flat, if I can draw, yeah, flat navigation. So they've really thought about the user interface, and instead of having the blocks expand and contract, I'm just trying to simplify things and reducing things down to a cog to access things you don't need all the time. Really nice. And I've also done a thing called presets, so you can then configure it. Instead of writing custom CSS, you just load this preset and it changes the whole look. You don't have to do anything, just upload one file, different sort of things. So really sort of aiming to make it less technical, which is really, really nice. But a lot of people trying to transition from the way that other things used to work have got a bit confused about it. But then I think sometimes that's down to the way that it's change and not getting used to it. Maybe if we get users looking at Boost and using it for the very first time and never use Moodle, maybe they'll love it. Maybe we'll get some really good feedback from them and say that, oh crumbs, this is how things look are modern. So lots of information. So it's a really nice, it's different way of looking at it. So next thing we're going to look at, Fortson, child of Boost, nice guy called Chris, who's I can't remember his last name, but his last name is Kennyberg. That's it. I'll quickly look that one up. And he's made it really different, and they've thought about the navigation drawer that you've got here and how they're customizing it, and they've thought about the tabs and really making a whole new brilliant look. And it's a child thing, so they've taken all the effort that has been sorry, reading the chat there, that has been done in Boost, and building upon that. Yes, Smelly, docking has gone. Things around our preferences, although I mean there might be a way of getting it back. So there's customized navigation drawer, different. They seem to have gone off. Boost has gone tabs, and so has Fortson, as you can see there, with not a drop down. And they've really thought about it. It's a work in progress at the moment, and they're trialing it, and it grabbed me as something being really different, modern, clean, another different perspective of looking things at it. So Campus, here's one I've created for a client. So I've concentrated here. This was sort of before even Boost and stuff came out to a developer over the last couple of years. We're sort of really concentrated on having a color, clean font look, having lots of different things with a sort of a really responsive header there, which is actually made up of two images, and you can make them left to right, and it adapts and expands, contracts really nicely. And also concentrating on having excuse me, different front page and category headers. So this will change depending on the front page or a different top level category. So really, if you can imagine a whole school, university, they want their slightly different look and feel, sorry, it's a different look for each department, each element, and so that people then can have familiarity and yet still maintain the same sort of look and feel and sort of corporate style. Also, it has a category carousel, so in the category, each different category, you can also have a different slider to go on to do different information. So different sort of component there. So there's that different component with the headers there in Campus, and just another look. Then we have the decaf theme. Has been around for quite a little while now. It has been made responsive, and it is this interesting thing called Awesome Bar, which is a massive menu, which is great, I think, on desktops. Doesn't work so well on mobile devices, but it's another way I feel of reducing the clutter. And critically, something came out in Mini iMoot last year. It's feathered. That means it's sort of these things sort of merge together. All the blocks, you can't see the seams. That's a real modern look. Perhaps if you use Photoshop or any other sort of tool that's out there for you hear a feathering, sort of a way of merging one thing into another to make it a very seamless boundary so that you almost don't see the boundary. I'm hoping to do that with one of other things as well to make that a little bit better look, but that seems to be a more modern look, so you're reducing the clutter on the screen and gives you a really nice look. So, essential. Took this over from the great Julian Ridden. Worked with another guy called David Howard. I've now been working for years. It is absolutely packed with features, lots and lots and lots. FitVid's there, which is a way of shrinking and expanding your videos so they're all responsive. Layout, color, analytics. I've since added category icons and images. Which were there before. Actually, we improved on that, and category course. I definitely added category course title images, so it pops up with a different screen. You do different course, you have a different image per course based on the category, and that can be customized per course. Slideshow, marketing box, spots, horizontal block areas I've added in. There's a research section button, so that if you're in a course and you've got the one section per page option, you can then go click on an activity and it returns you back to that one section. Lots more being added at the time. I've really concentrated on Essential and keeping exactly the same style that everybody loves, and still I'm really concentrating on just adding more and more features. So it sort of kept its style. I think pragmatically, I think it's starting maybe to look dated, dare I say it, but it is still, lots of people love it and are familiar with it, and I get on with it quite a lot, so it's there and continue as well. I'm still continuing to support it and develop it and keep that look and feel and try and keep it as clean. I mean, I might add some extra features to remove, do a bit of feathering as well in the future, but it all depends on actually the feedback I get and what people want. Yes, thank you, Gemma. I do keep adding new features. And one of the other features I've added recently is property transfer. So I found with Essential that, excuse me, that it was low. There was setting after setting after setting. So you'd set up your central site, you move to another server, and you think, what am I going to do? I don't know. I've got a lot of data. Well, now there's ability you can actually save most of the settings and save them to a file and then transfer those to another site. It won't do the file, so the images, you have to do those separately. However, it will do an awful lot of all the colors, all the settings, all the lot of the slideshow data in there. I think, apart from the slideshow images, but it does a lot, and it just saves all the aggro, and it also has a backup. And also, if you wanted to turn out several different sites and start with the same sort of base set of styles that you've set it, then that really helps. Oops. Bit of crackling. Oh, sorry, Kim. So, Flakybase. This is based on Bootstrap version 3. It's made by Stuart Ullman. It's Stuart Ullman. Richard, must apologise, Richard Ullman. A very different, has a sort of wide range of block regions, allows you to design the layout. You can just click it through the user interface there. Concentrated a lot on doing some nice, really sort of quick setting links. There, I think, very bold look. Actually, looking at the screenshot now, is really concentrated on having help page, having a tab layout, all the settings you can see there, and having these different sort of layouts there, and made things modal. Just another way of looking at it. Shoelace. This is another one of mine. Made it to be simple as it could be. I wanted a theme that I could just evolve and learn from and put out, which didn't have too many features, but was just simple and easy to use. I've really used it actually to learn a bit for myself, to make sure that I can progress the technology underlying Moodle and stuff there. So I'm trying to keep it crisp. This is the one I do actually want to add feathering to, so that all the background here will change in the future, so that'll be completely seamless. It has some very sort of straightforward settings, features which I'll show in a second, and it does allow you custom CSS. I've gone away from sort of the rounded, gone for sort of square corners, a more modern look there. So one thing I did to it, I looked at WordPress quite a few years back and saw they had a sort of a layout sort of manager, and that was something you really couldn't do in themes in Moodle. That you always had to write some code or change the layout files and stuff and actually write PHP. So I thought, I would love to do that. So I've actually added in this layout settings here, and you can just click for all the different layouts that you got in Moodle, like a front page course, in-course. The in-course layout is used whenever you're doing a resource or an activity. And you just click and it says, right, I want 2 blocks, one left, one right. Pick that one, and one on the bottom. Left, right, up, down, all the different block areas, like so. Therefore, it will then just adapt it. So if a block area, you've got a left and a right, and you just say left, it'll put the left one above and the right one underneath. And it's just via the user interface. So you don't have to do any code changes whatsoever. It just works. You click on the radio button, you click the save at the bottom, that's it. Boom. And you can get a different look and feel just like that. All works using a thing called moustache templates, so that can be configured if you've got a coder and you're actually mucking around with it as well. So just something I really wanted to do, and a different feature that I'd never seen before done. So one thing I did on it, and this was also my shoehorn thing, imported it here, is syntax highlighting. I thought if you're teaching coding, if you're teaching anything technical and you've got IT classes and stuff, then maybe you want to have syntax highlighting to highlight the examples. So I've added in Alex Gorbachev's syntax highlighter, free there, which is double licenses, so license there, so you can add it in, and it only works on a specific category because it does actually slow the browser down. So you can target, just make it on this category where all my IT classes are. But rather neat, so it could be ported to other things, could be used in other ones if you wanted to. Just ask the people themselves to move it for you onto your theme. I just felt, just sort of ties up, because presentation these days is so important to emphasize the material that you put in. Snap theme. David Scotsman and and Stuart Lamore and others at Moodle Rooms, I think, have made it, and it's really, really different. It's a real user, so they've really gone for a minimalist approach. They've gone for a really guided approach. Has workflows which may or may not suit you. I mean, the beauty of Moodle is that you can configure it and use it exactly the way you want it, and you're not restricted to a certain workflow. But their workflow is really, really informative, and it has a lovely thing called course cards, which instead of having a list of different courses and information, has bunches them up into different cards with pictures and information and stuff. So there's a lovely link there that you can use, and that tells you a lot more about it. But just really, really clean. They've thought about it in a very interesting way, and thought about the whole user experience, which is really good. For example, also when you click on My Courses at the top there, it will drop down and show your courses. But it's not there cluttered on the screen. It only is there when you actually need it. Hey. I will come back to that, Melanie. Actually, yeah, Melanie's put in the chat. Curious about money. So much you have footwear, native Bootstrap. Not sure. I've called mine beginning with shoes things. Essential. There was a lot of other things beginning with, because it was beginning with E, as far as I know. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, Bootstrap is not only a theme; it's also a framework as well. So. This is really now useful more if you want to try things out on your development site or on your practice site, or your theme developer, or you want to showcase different themes. I made a theme selector block, so you can just quickly switch between the themes and compare and contrast. I read in the chat there. Yes, you could have one called Stiletto. Yeah, really useful block. And so if you want to try and think, oh, how will this look? How will it look? And show off to your management, to your classes, of to prefer this thing for that thing, then you can use this block to quickly switch between that on a demonstration server and get people's ideas from them. Okay, course formats. So in the middle there, I've got collapsed topics on Shoelace, like so. And the purpose of course format is to sort of to structure the page for the content of the course. A lot of people think, I've got a problem, it must be the theme. It's not. This area here in the center is all managed by the course format. The theme has hardly anything to do with it. It can style it a little bit, but not. So this is very confusing, that maybe if you've got a problem and you want to talk about it and it's actually a course format problem, you want to go to the course and course formats forum on moodle.org and not the themes forum. Now, the arguments about whether course format should exist or should not exist, but they're important because they are theme independent. So you are there as an educator to decide how you lay out the room. So when I was teaching, I'd walk into a classroom and think, I'm going to arrange the desk and chairs that way for this lesson to suit the content I'm presenting. The same thing here. It has its styles, its structure. And so really important to understand that you as a teacher have more control over that and look at all the different course formats that are out there to make a difference to your lessons and your lectures and the people that you're talking to and you're educating. Okay, time fine. Okay. Now, a lot of people, you can make very, very simple changes to your theme by using custom CSS. Please don't be scared. It's also worth watching Scott's presentation. That gives a good introduction about using and making changes within labels and getting to know how to bit of CSS. His does inline CSS. This is another way of doing custom CSS if you've got administrator rights. So, for example, if you've got yourself a test server, a demonstration server, you can have a play and learn it. You've got two things going on here. There's a thing called developer tools, browser developer tools, and any browser now has them. So if you press F12 on your keyboard, you'll find it pop up, or you'll right click and do it, inspect element. You can start to pull apart the web page. And with a little bit of programming knowledge and CSS knowledge, you can start making changes and you can try things out. For example, here, I've changed the header there to italic by just simply doing that. And I've tried it out there on the top, changed it on the page, which doesn't change it actually at the server end, which is great. So anything you muck around with here with your browser development tools won't change the actual site itself. So there's no fear factor going on. But once you've worked out, that's it is, a lot of things will have a custom CSS box, which you can then post that in if you're an administrator, or get the administrator to put that in for you, just to change the look and the feel of the site or specific courses. Loads of ways of doing it. Really great of working things out and changing the look and feel. So forth. So it is straightforward, a little bit scary at times, but on the flip side, you can do a lot of good and customize your theme for something you get off the shelf from Moodle.org or anywhere else to look the way that you want. And just small things can make a huge difference. Even though there's italic there, you can see just brings a little more emphasis to the header title. So moving on, so we looked at themes, we looked at the different components, and I think really thinking about maybe you've got this theme and you want to change it, and you worked out a bit of custom CSS, and now you really want to sort of customize it for yourself and yet make simple changes or have a child theme. And thinking about programming itself. What's the fear? And I started thinking about how to tell you about how I think you can get from teaching to actually understanding how to do a little bit of theme customization, developing and editing the PHP without worrying it. And so I thought, well, programming is harder than it looks. So if you're asking a problem on the themes forum and you think, oh, this should be easy, and they program take ages, they are thinking about it a lot. But it is a combination of skills, language knowledge, Moodle knowledge, design problem. It does take dedication, perseverance, and determination. So if you are asking a question, it takes a long time, things for a while, for a developer to come with an answer. It is because they're thinking about that. But it is also about understanding, if you're getting into programming, the route to do that is to understand how you learn and seek out material in that format. So understand I learn by doing little steps, bit by bit by bit, or not. I understand by reading, I understand by examples, I understand by watching videos. So that's really, really critical. I recommend you break the problem down into small steps that comprise of one little problem. And that's how I solve problems. People come to me and says, oh, how do I implement this? And I go away and I think and do a quote and break the problem down into this, and this, and then work out which bit do I not actually know how to do. And then I can then, sort of, quote on each one. So it is a matter, like with everything else in life, of breaking down the smaller problems into bigger the bigger problems into smaller problems. Get that right? Before attempting the whole. So you want to start small, gain a bit of confidence, have a goal, and critically know what you want to achieve. So coming back to previous example. There, I thought, I want to make that italic. How do I do this? So I found this, I clicked on their header, I tried in here to try and type words. I looked in W3 Schools or any other websites for the different sort of CSS attributes and styles and think, font style tag, try that. Does that work? Yes, it does. Brilliant. So that's what I need. So having a goal and knowing what you want. So if you want to get into sort of theme design, this is a good way of thinking about how you can get from A to B, from being just teaching and educating to actually understanding how the combination and learning skills, knowledge, language knowledge, neural knowledge, having you got problem solving skills, design skills, so forth, and never giving up. Which comes me to plug on Moodle Bites' forthcoming Theme Design Level 1 course. So it is a brand new course at Moodle Bites. It's aimed at learners who are interested in theme development, but you don't have a background in development, experience PHP, experience. So I talk you through all of that, progressively going from not only the Moodle aspect, but also the PHP, the CSS aspect, little tasks, lot of interactivity in terms of workshops and actual assignments and things to try out. But I taught you how to clone a theme and also use the browser development tools and really get into getting from not knowing so much to learning to being really effective. To you can see there in that screenshot, to changing colors, borders around images, changing and adding settings to really help you get from A to B. I am the leader facilitator, so I'm there to help out and design and improve things. And there's a quick link there to the promotion page. So yeah, just a quick plug there for it. Okay, coming on to the future, where I think things are going. So I think WordPress, in terms of a lot of people would love it, hate it. It's much bigger community, but they've thought really long and hard about their user interface. They've thought about the way users use it, interact with it. Really great. They've removed a lot of the clutter. So for everyday users, and yet the admin interface has everything there in a sort of a big format. For people who actually, for the administration, and yet the people looking at it will see a less cluttered view. So perhaps I think Moodle has a lot of duplication and could learn a lot from WordPress in a certain way, but Moodle is a very different sort of beast. So I think it's just a matter of reducing the clutter. I think more modularity and transfers of functionality. There's been a lot of talk about moving components that we've seen, like the syntax highlighting, like layouts, like the different headers, like slideshows between themes, and having components within themes. You just move from one theme to another theme, and wouldn't that be great? So I think that could happen more with Moodle as it evolves. But the beauty, coming back again, is Moodle has flexibility without enforced workflow. A lot of LMSs will work in the way that they have to work because that's the sort of the demographic that they're aimed at. And yet with Moodle, you can pick it up, use it for two different sort of sets of groups of people, and you're not forced to work in a different way. And that's what's beautiful about it. Yes, to say, I think it definitely needs to reduce the duplication. I think Boost team has shown a little bit of that, but you look at a page and think, that's cluttered. 3D. Ages ago, and do look at this wiki page, there was a project by Sun Microsystems called Project Looking Glass, where you have a 3D environment, sort of a 3D desktop environment where you can move around and you can go left, right, and the whole background would shift, and it's just a way of moving cluttered. We live in a 3D world, and yet we're looking at a 2D screen. What's going on? We read a book, and in effect, it's 2D. We learn in 2D, and yet our world is 3D. So why shouldn't our learning environment be 3D? We go to school, we go to college, we go to university, and we learn in classrooms which are 3D. So why not online in 3D? Give that some thought. That comes also down to the next point, is small device, large area. The world is getting smaller. We'll have sort of mobile phones, and they're getting smaller and smaller, and some are getting smartphones slightly bigger. But there seems to be I'm going to put my webcam on for this. Show my expressions. Hopefully you can see. It seems to be compressed. So you have your small mobile device. It's really small, twiddle. And yet the world is big. So why not have a small device which projects something out that becomes a much bigger area to learn in, and it then compacts down for transporting around and using. So that, I think, I don't know what it is, but it's just my gut that you be closed in, then you want to expand yourself out, expand and contract to get a good big learning environment, and yet have something that you can use and that is portable. And that, however that happens, I don't know, but it'd be great if that would happen to Moodle, and somehow a user interface where you'd have a small device, even a lovely Raspberry Pi projector, expands out, tap, 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 monitor where your fingers go, learn, expand, contract. I think that would be brilliant. Okay. A bit of references. So you get a lot of support from the Themes Forum. Download all of the themes I've done presented there from the downloads on that link there on the moodle.org. Moodle Bites there. And if you want to try them out, I mentioned about the theme developer block, which I haven't got a link on there, but I'll put a link in the course. And you can try out, that's my previous presentation out for trying out my own Moodle. So you can install that on your own laptop, on your own computer, no worries at all. Try out Moodle, install loads of themes, try different things out, and not actually have any fear whatsoever of doing anything wrong and breaking anything, because if it goes wrong, you just uninstall it. That's a really great way of trying things out, and actually, for that matter, course formats and any other plugins. Okay, so we have learned about 3 themes and their features, components of theme selector, we looked at course formats, how they fit in, how they're different from themes, and how they're really, really specific, and how not to be confused about them in terms of when you're asking for support from people. Talked about from getting from A to B and making simple changes. Talked about Moodle Bites course in the future. So use what you've learned to discover different themes and features. Try something else out. Use my selector box and select a block and compare and contrast different things of, oh, I like that, I don't like that, oh, I like that, wouldn't it be great in that, and talk to your developers and say, this is what I want, I really love this feature, and that would really help with my learning and my lessons. So I'm going to put a poll there, guys, so hopefully that there. What is your favorite component? And I only had 6 choices. So is it the awesome bar from the decaf thing with the big menu? Is it course cards from Snap where they're little blocks? Is it the feathering again from decaf? Is flat navigation from Boost? Is it the different layouts or something other? If you can put that in the chat, please. There are 4 responses out of 9 so far. Oh, okay, man. Perhaps, Mel, if you just say in the chat which one you would have gone for. So 6 responses out of 9. Just a little minute, I think. Okay, right, so hopefully, so all like course cards, interesting, really interesting. Thank you. That was a different perspective. Flat navigation, 1 person there. 2 people like layout. Thank you. All right, it should have gone out. So maybe Melanie, if you just say in the chat. Interesting. Thank you, guys. Really, good feedback on understanding where things are going, and maybe sort of plug there, talk to the Snap people about getting course cards in other themes as well. So, if you've got any questions, please do. Thank you for attending, participating, give me any feedback. And there's about.me J Barnard there. You can contact me through. There's like a contact button, and that gives me an email and so forth. Good questions. So Erin asks, in the boosting, is there a way to clap the My Courses in the sidebar? I don't think so at the moment. I've only, to be honest with you, only looked at Boost a little bit. I don't know it that well yet. My gut says that it is technically possible because you could make it an accordion, and Boost is very, very highly templateable. So perhaps that could be added in Fortson, or you can make a child of, just like Fortson is a child of Boost, that it could be done that way. Or you can probably modify it to use the accordion facility of the Bootstrap framework. So yeah, it is possible. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you the code, but it would be code. Hopefully, Erin, that answers your question. Whoops.
Hi, Gareth. I was just wondering, where do you see blocks going in the future?
Oh, very good question, Kim. Lots of arguments. Some people love them, some people hate them. I think even Martin, the man himself, reckons they should go. But then I think, well, what they're going to be replaced by, which is a different sort of question. So I think, like WordPress widgets, they'll remain. They won't get replaced because you're always going to need side areas. That some people love docking, some people hate docking. But I think it's feathering that will make the difference. That they will be there, but you won't know they're there. There'll just be extra detail on the screen. So they won't have a border, they'll just be there, and there'll be a side, or they might expand and contract. But it'll be another part of the merged in content, if that makes sense.
So collapsible, like...
And you won't realize they're blocked, so they won't have a border around them.
Oh, gotcha.
They'll be feathered in, and they'll be totally transparent, so the whole content, there'll just be another thing on the side. And I think just maybe it's not so much that their blocks are bad, it's the amount of content within them. So the navigation will change, so maybe it just needs to reduce them down. And also that's within your power. You as a person can use Moodle and you can change the whole screen and customize the layout and reduce the content on the page. So I think they are necessary just to provide a means of putting different content on the screen in different places and manipulating a grid from a user interface point of view, rather than having something that is tricky and difficult to manipulate. Just like in a paid program or in a presentation program, you can move things around. You still need to be able to do that in a flexible manner, and blocks allow you to do that. And also having something dynamic, that just have this in this area, I just want to add it, and I want it to be responsive and expand and contract and not worry about it. It's down to power of having something easy to use and generic against something which is bespoke and yet takes a lot of more programming skill to change. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Are there any more questions, please? Interesting, Jim. So you're surprised how many users cannot find a block that they've docked to get support code. Right. Now, this is the argument about docking. Whether it's good and bad and where's it gone, and even if it's listed down the side on there sort of with a name. And I still think that, Jim, it comes down to clutter on the screen and reducing it down, and having information overload and having too much there, and you get to think about what is really, really necessary. So I'll just look at the chat. Any more questions?
As we're winding down here, Gareth, I would like to thank you again for presenting such a wonderful and informative presentation.
Thank you, Kim. Great to be at another iMoot. It's my 10th. Eek.
And thank you, everybody, for attending. It always makes for a better session when we have people in here to interact with. So thank you so much for attending as well.
Oh, do try. There's a badge on the course as well.